Rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and
indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Hello.
Welcome, everybody, to tonight's meeting of the Penn-Harris-Madison Board of School Trustees. We are so excited to be back at Bittersweet Elementary. It's been a number of years since we were here. Thank you, all of the parents who've come tonight. It's wonderful to see you. Thank you to all the students who are here. We look forward to the presentation. I know they're eager to go. It's just wonderful. Thank you to all the guests who have joined us. We also welcome all the guests who are joining us via our live YouTube stream. With that, we'll call the meeting to order. The first item that we have is superintendent's recognitions and announcements. And Dr. Thacker, I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you, President Riley and Board of Trustees. Welcome, everybody. It's great to be here in Bobcat Land. We have so many talented kids here. It's always fun to come here. The planetarium, one of the few in the state of Indiana, and it's just a tribute to the great work that's going on here. Well, tonight we have a special story to share with you, an unbelievably successful story, and we're grateful to have the people here. Okay, we're going to have some special individuals joining us, and I'm going to have you stand up as I say your name. Mr. Will Thomas, his wife, Kahila, son Wilson, son Wyatt, daughter Kira. Okay, now why don't you turn to the audience and see how good looking you guys are. Okay, now this story is only made possible to have all these people because we have amazing teachers and amazing students learning. Okay, with what happened with this situation, we have Penn High School teacher and track and cross country coach, Mr. Chad Wetzel and his family. Why don't you stand up, Mr. Wetzel and your family. Okay, now these people are all part of this amazing story that we have. Okay, Mr. Wetzel is such an outstanding teacher. The kids really learn everything that's so important in his classroom. He provided excellent CPR training to Wilson. Wilson, raise your hand. This is our number 9. He's a linebacker doing a great job for Penn High School. Okay, as a result of this teaching and this student, Wilson saved the life of his mother. Raise your hand. She wouldn't be here. CPR, how about this? So, Mr. Thomas, what I'd like for you to do is, would you share with us, you shared a very poignant letter with us. If you would like to share with the audience what took place. And I mean, we're thankful that all these things happen, and we're thinking maybe someday something positive can be happening for other people just like this did. Mr. Thomas? Hey, Mr. Thomas, you don't, would you like to use the microphone, Mr. Thomas? It'll be a little bit easier for you. Or if you want to stand on this side, you can.
And I've never had a microphone, so. So I'm a little nervous, but just bear with me. It's just a true story, so I didn't have to rehearse it or anything. We own our own small business, and typically I get up at 4:30 in the morning to get going, work out. This day we starting a new job, so I got up at 3:30. I was in the bedroom bathroom, and I heard my wife take her last breath. She's a loud snorer, so small as she is. She snores like a bear. and so I heard her take a breath, and she didn't start snoring like she normally would. So I come running out the bathroom, and I say, "Sweetie, get up, take a breath." Nothing. She just eyes closed, mouth open. Says, "Sweetie, take a breath." Nothing. So I immediately called 911, scared to death, never seen anything like that. She said, "We have to start CPR right away." I just kind of blanked, woke up the boys. They immediately went into action. They threw her on the ground, and Wilson performed the CPR, and Wyatt kept me calm. First responders got there. I just want to say a special thanks to them. Sometimes we don't understand how important they are to the community, so thank you guys. Got there, worked on her for a little bit. Weren't sure they were going to make it to the hospital with her. We ended up getting to the hospital. She was in a coma for a week. Surgical ICU. They didn't know if she would live or die. So she's here now. She came out of it. 2 weeks to the day, we were taking senior pictures for the football team. They let her go home the night before. So I wanted to make sure I reached out to Coach Wetzel. We've been knowing him. We've had 4 kids go through the system. We call these 2 the babies. And so awesome school system. The Penn family has been awesome. They were with me the whole time going through this. Coach Pete, the Moms Club, led by Rosanna Max. So, and I just reached out to Coach and thanked him for teaching the CPR class in a way that my kids paid attention and were able to act. And so I want to say thank you and appreciate you and love you, man. Was thank you to St. Joseph Hospital and their team. They did an awesome job. They were very patient with me. I'm not the easiest person to get along with, and I was there 24 hours a day for 2 weeks. I slept there every night, and I just wanted to say thank you to them as well. If you guys are looking for a great hospital to go to, St. Joe's the place. So thanks again.
Our triangle of success that connects the students, teachers, and the parents. Can you imagine anything better? Student, there's the student, the teacher, the parent. I think that was probably about as momentous an occasion as we've ever had. So we're just delighted that everything worked out for you. You guys are truly a lifesaver. You're a lifesaver teaching them. So stay healthy. Keep coming out to those Penn games cheering on number 9. He's done a great job. Thanks for being here.
It's really hard to start a meeting with a better story than that. So meeting adjourned. Honestly, thank you, Wilson. Thank you, Coach Wetzel, and God bless you and your family. And we wish you a speedy recovery, as I know that being in a coma for as long as you were can have its effect. So you'll be in our prayers. Okay, we're going to move on to our next item, which is the Penn High School Student Ambassador, Dr. Thacker.
Thank you, President Riley and Board of Trustees. We have with us tonight from Penn High School an amazing ambassador, Kelly Kubinski. Kelly. Very enthusiastic, you might notice.
Hello, everyone. I am so very happy to be in front of you all today. As you can see, I couldn't wait to get up here. But as some of you all may know, my day job as a Penn News Network reporter, well, with the side hustle of being an honor student, means that the story always comes first. So I'd like to make this a tradition, a monthly segment called Don't Bore the Board with Kelly Kubinski. So let's get right into today's stories about Penn High School, shall we? So in breaking news, homecoming weekend was a smashing success, as some of you all may know. The pep rally invigorated students on Friday and held fun relay games that brought so much energy into our very own palace. Kingsman Court, which we are a member of, organized teacher games, homecoming court relays, grade level competitions, overwhelmingly positive feedback came from that. And a new tradition also began this year, as homecoming princess and princesses were from each grade level were crowned at the rally. So 6 very lucky Penn students are now princes and princesses of Penn High School. The HOCO parade, where my fellow PNN reporters, Nate Zizzo and Nate Tingle, they broadcasted Macy's Thanksgiving Day style parade broadcast. It was very well received, and the parade was all the clubs coming out and showcasing what their little corner of Penn looks like, and we were very grateful to have them all show out. Additionally, for the football game, to honor deaf awareness, PHS invited 26 Elkhart signers and a record number 60 students in the ASL program at Penn High School, and they all were volunteered to sign across the field at the beginning of the game for the national anthem. And the deaf community that were invited, that were in attendance, were blown away by both our skill and our enthusiasm to be a part of this. And as someone who was on the field signing and participated, I believe we did Mrs. Huckleberry and Miss Sandler very proud. So it was very exciting. The homecoming dance was also a hit, as students were able to do anything from play spike ball or cornhole on the field, walk and talk with friends, eat from the food trucks, or just dance the night away, which is pretty much where I was all night. The dance was a communion belt involving students, parents, and staff, once again showcasing our triangle of success and how strong it really is. Transitioning to sports news, a big thank you to Alabama for being the bigger upset this weekend. But in all fairness, although we lost the game 3-7, the student section was pumped up all night, clad in neon, and the night brought boatloads of family fun through both the fabulous fireworks after the game and the food that was available all game. And a big shout out to the PHM Education Foundation for all of the festivities. The girls' golf team had 1 student athlete advance from sectionals to state this weekend. Scarlett Beaver, who was a junior, made it to the second round of play in the state finals, and she finished 27th in the state. So congratulations to Scarlett. And she is now back at school, trying to catch up on all of her work. From the fairways to the rink, if you all can believe it, it's already hockey season. We're back on the ice. The Penn hockey team beat St. Joe in a recent game, a shutout 4-1. 2 goals thanks to Brooks Clark with assists from Grady Harrell and Carter Craningwood. Congratulations, boys. And also congratulations to the Kingsman boys soccer team for winning the NIC Athletic Soccer Championship. So the team last Saturday won in a shootout against Elkhart in the regular season final, and they're all very happy to be there, and they're heading on to the more games. Finally, I'd like to congratulate the girls Powder Puff Junior team for coming out victorious in last Wednesday's tournament. They faced both the freshman team and the senior teams, and I heard from my friends in the action that it was very fun and exciting. In other news, I have some outstanding student recognition. So senior Sarah Rooney is making us proud with her work at the Prairie Revitalization at Prairie Vista Elementary School. And you may all have remembered her presentation to the board a while back. She was very concerned about the health and safety hazards of PHM's own ecosystem attached to a local elementary school. So she has since met with environmental engineer Mr. John Whittenham of Blue Heron Ministries, and she has brought teachers on board to develop a curriculum around this amazing ecological opportunity. I have been personally asked to head social media for the project, and I can't wait to see the burn and rebirth and be a part of the publicity for that. But as a former Prairie Vista Puma, I am more excited for the students who will get to enjoy the prairie, as it was one of my favorite parts of being at school there. In arts news, SpongeBob the musical has begun. Preparations for this year's production are in full swing, and audition results finally came out, or they're coming out sometime this week. A twist from the original Nickelodeon show, SpongeBob must overcome an identity crisis to save Bikini Bottom from a looming volcano with the help of his friends. So sounds like a good time, but I am always very impressed by PHM spring shows, and this year will be no different, or next year. I can't wait to cheer them on in March with our outstanding actresses and actors. And that looks like all the news I have for you today. Tune in next month for Kingsman Court CJ Vantine over here, who will be bringing you the scoop. And as always, I am Kelly Kabinski, and hopefully I did not bore the board. Trademark pending. Thank you all.
You know, Kelly, actually, you're giving Noah a run for his money. For all of our parents who might not understand the joke, Noah is one of the most energetic and electrifying presenters we've had ever as a student ambassador. And Kelly, I think you're now in tight competition with him. Thank you so much. This was, I think, your first presentation to the board. You did an outstanding job. And we do vividly and fondly remember the presentation on Prairie Vista. Will you do us a favor? And when you come back, you will be coming back, right? When you come back, will you give us an update on how that's going? It's wonderful to see you. Okay, we'll keep moving. Next up is our Spotlight on Schools, Dr. Thacker.
Thank you, President Riley and Board of Trustees. We're absolutely delighted to be here tonight, and Principal Shonda Masterson is going to highlight some of the ways that students are writing for a purpose. With a district-wide focus on writing, Bittersweet is finding creative and meaningful ways for students to engage with others through writing. Following, Bittersweet music teacher, Mrs. Kayleen Balboville, will showcase fifth grade students' musical talents using various instruments. Ms. Masterson.
Good evening. Dr. Thacker, President Riley, and members of the board, we are honored to host tonight's school board meeting at Bittersweet. Tonight, I will give you a glimpse of some of the Bittersweet students and how they are elevating their writing and supporting the community. We are thrilled to share that Bittersweet Elementary School scored in the top 5% of Indiana schools on last year's iLearn assessments. Students and staff work tirelessly to achieve this prestigious accolade and continue to strive for excellence every day at school. I would like to thank the Learning Division for all they do to help prepare PHM students for success using support such as professional development, ClearSight. This year we will pilot iLearn checkpoints, impact awards, and thoughtful data analyses to help us with meaningful and targeted instruction and interventions to maximize learning and success. This slide shows, I'm going to move this. This slide shows genre-specific iLearn scores on the 2023-2024 writing assessment. Each year, we are creating stronger, more confident, and competent writers. We will continue to focus on growth and growing, flourishing writers. So if you see each grade as they go up, their scores are kind of going up as well. So we want to see that continue, that trend continue. Bittersweet, in conjunction with our district-wide focus on developing writing skills for students, approaches this endeavor from many different angles. Staff meetings focus on best practice in writing. Data dives allow us to see precisely where we need to focus. And teachers observing one another offer strategic insight to learn from one another. Our teacher leadership team focuses each week on growing capacity as teachers of the writing process. Collaboration is even more magnified when teachers gather together with other teachers across the district to share ideas, problem solve, and reflect on writing, curriculum, and data. This summer, our teacher leadership team went to a Smeckens Writing Professional Development Training and were able to bring back new knowledge and resources to share with all of our Bittersweet teachers. We launched our writing focus this year with a Play-Doh activity, enough for every classroom. Using the dough as an analogy for the writing process, students contemplated the process a writer goes through to produce a final piece, how a writer is like a sculptor, and like a sculptor molds clay, writers sculpt and mold words together in journals, learning logs, letters, and other writing initiatives. New in our library this year, we have introduced a writing center. This center includes short writing prompts to work on the various types of writing styles. There are small group and individual writing activities introduced, book reviews, and creative writing. Also new this year will be the Page to Stage with our 4th and 5th grade students, where they will write plays and skits to be acted out by staff at a school-wide assembly. Second grade students were working on order words and were encouraged to use our story vocabulary words like excited, explore, favorite, guide, and tour in their writing about today's visit to Kircher's Apple Orchard. So we went to the Apple Orchard today, and tonight some second graders will share their writing with you. Come on over. Please welcome Alyssa, Emmeline, Stephen, and Cammie.
Melissa. I am excited to go to Coach's. We might get fruit and vegetables. I will get a pumpkin. I will explore Coach's. It will be fun there.
Hello, my name is Cami. I am excited to go to Kirchner's. My favorite part is apple cider. I love carving pumpkins. It is really fun. The most fun part is picking pumpkins, but the boring part is when you get dirty.
Is when you get what?
Dirty.
When you get dirty, that's the boring part.
Hello, my name is Emmeline. I'm excited to go to Kirchner's. First, I think we are going on a hayride. Next, I think we are going to get apple cider. Then, I think we are going to pick a pumpkin. Last, I think we are going through a corn maze. I think it is going to be a lot of fun.
Hello, my name is Steven, and I am excited to go because it is going to be fun. I might eat apples. Apples are good to me. I like apples.
So these second graders just got to go today on this lovely day, and they had a fantastic time. And maybe they'll write some reflections about that as well. This is the introduction to an opinion piece from a fifth grade student. I won't read it to you, but I do love this particular piece because its intended audience is parents, and the goal is to help parents understand the trade-offs associated with allowing children to have a cell phone. So I thought that was fabulous. To support our community as well as to develop writing skills, Bittersweet first grade students honor veterans and to thank them for their sacrifice. Students perform a community service each Memorial Day by decorating Veterans Garden at Chapel Hill Cemetery. Families and staff share veterans' addresses with us so we can write them letters thanking them for serving our country and keeping us safe. We were honored with a visit from Mr. Tom Cohn, a veteran of the United States Air Force. He wanted to personally thank the boys and girls and meet the boy who wrote to him. He presented this student, his pen pal, with a United States Air Force cap and an Air Force Fire Department badge. The photo to the right was taken off of social media. It was from a brother of a veteran who had passed away. He and his family were so touched by the gesture of students decorating his brother's grave that he took to social media to share the act of kindness with others in the community. We are so proud of our first graders and so thankful for our veterans. First grade, and this year we are expanding to fifth grade in Mrs. Linsky's class, we have pen pals from sister PHM elementary schools. The students are assigned a pen pal and write back and forth throughout the year. In these pictures, Bittersweet students went to Moran. The students constructed a neighborhood as part of a MyView research project and used Spheros to navigate their way through the makeshift community. This year, Moran students will join us at Bittersweet for a mystery science lesson about plants and a visit to the DVT. We even exchange swag, like school stickers and pencils with our respective school mascots on them. In this summer PD on behavior, the importance of building school culture, climate, and community was emphasized. Julie Vialba, Bittersweet Media Aide, crafted a Bittersweet Pause pledge that we recite every day after the Pledge of Allegiance. Students love it, and I am able to also circle back to the pledge when providing behavior supports and when reteaching expectations to students ongoingly as needed. And if you don't mind, our fifth graders right now would like to share that pledge with you.
We are polite, showing kindness and respect to ourselves and others. We are accountable, taking responsibility, coming to school motivated, prepared, and ready to learn. We make wise choices, caring for ourselves, others, and our
Truly, we say it with that much enthusiasm on a daily basis. It is just a joy to start our days and finish them here at Bittersweet. I'd like to introduce you to Mrs. Kayleen Balboville. She is a music teacher at Bittersweet, and she's a natural leader and serves in several capacities at Bittersweet. Not only does she teach music, but she is an integral part of our crisis response team, safety committee, and she manages the car rider pickup line. And if any of you have ever tried that, you know that is a feat in and of itself. Kayleen is very resourceful, and she, through the PHM Education Foundation, as well as with the support of our school PTO, secured grants and funding to provide students with a variety of musical instruments to use. Bittersweet students and families love to hear students perform on such a wide array of instruments, and we receive feedback from Schmucker that Bittersweet students come to middle school with a solid instrumental background and are highly motivated to be part of the musical community at Schmucker. Now, Kayleen will give you a taste of what Bittersweet students can do with some of our instruments.
Thank you, Miss Masterson. At Bittersweet, our biggest goal is to have music be an inclusive experience. So one thing that helps us with that is these instruments over here that Miss Masterson has mentioned. These xylophones, metallophones, and glockenspiels all have the same set of 13 bars on them, and their sound changes based on the material and the size of the bars. When we go to learn a piece, whatever instrument the kid has in front of them, that's what they learn all of the parts on. And then whatever piece resonates with them, they can move to that instrument. So a student who is learning all the parts on a glockenspiel, the really high instrument, can decide they really like that bass part, and then later they would move to a bass instrument. Because we learn all the parts at once, this is only possible if we have a classroom set of instruments. So we really, really want to thank the PHM Educational Foundation and the Bittersweet PTO, which helped us secure those last few instruments to get us to that goal. So even though the piece that we're playing today highlights recorder, all of our instrumentalists learned the recorder part, and all of our recorder players learn the instrumental part. So that's how we make music inclusive at Bittersweet. And our fifth graders are now going to play a piece for you called Mixed Bag.
Well, we are just so honored and thankful to highlight some of the wonderful things going on here at Bittersweet, and we appreciate this opportunity. Thank you so much.
Parents, don't go just yet. There's something that Ms. Masterson said that I think really deserves a lot of recognition, not just for the administration here at Bittersweet, but also for you parents and certainly our students. Ms. Masterson indicated that the iLearn scores are back in the top 5% in Indiana. We have 1,107 elementary schools in Indiana. Bittersweet's in the top 5% of all of those schools. Parents, I think you deserve a round of applause. Your students deserve a round of applause. Ms. Masterson and the teachers here. As always, a fantastic presentation. We thank you so much. We thank our second graders, Alyssa, Stephen, Evelyn, and Cammie. And our first graders, thank you for taking good care of our veterans. That was wonderful to see. Our fifth graders have given me assurance that the future of Penn High School's orchestra is bright. We appreciate you having us here tonight at Bittersweet. Thank you, Ms. Masterson, for all you do. And parents, though we welcome you certainly to stay for the rest of the business portion of the meeting, we understand we understand that you might like to go home and have dinner. So now would be a good time to go.
Thank you again. Thank you.
Thank you.
See you, bud.
Fit everybody here in one row.
Oh, they came out for the kids, didn't they? That's great.
Yeah. We're going to give it a few minutes.
These ambassadors are great, aren't they?
Oh, yeah. Oh, no kidding.
I'll text. I'll find out.
I'll now call the meeting back to order, and we will proceed on with the business portion. First item on the agenda, board members, is the adoption of agenda. Board members, any changes? Administration.
The administration has no changes.
Do I have a motion to adopt the agenda for the Monday, October 7, 2024 regular board meeting as presented?
I so move.
All those in favor vote aye. Aye. Any opposed, vote nay. Motion carries by a vote of 5-0. Next up is approval of minutes. Board members, any changes? Administration.
No changes.
Board members, do I have a motion to approve the minutes from the September 9, 2024 regular board meeting as presented?
I so move.
A second.
All those in favor vote aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, vote nay. That motion also carries by a vote of 5-0. And we'll move on to the consent agenda. Dr. Thacker, I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you, President Riley, Board of Trustees. The administration recommends approval of the consent agenda as presented. Appearing on the personnel report or under classified are the retirements of 2 employees. Kathy Butterworth, custodian at Penn High School, who retired on September 27th after 24 years of service. Norma Bloomer, custodian at Penn High School, who will retire July 1st, 2025, following 11 years of service. On behalf of the board and administration, we wish Kathy and Norma the very best in their upcoming retirements.
Thank you, Dr. Thacker. Board members, any questions? Do I have a motion to approve the October 7, 2024 consent agenda as presented by Dr. Thacker?
I so move. I second.
All those in favor vote aye. Aye. Any opposed vote nay. That motion also carries by a vote of 5-0. And before we move on, Kathy and Norma, we hope that you see this video at some point. We thank you so much for your service to PHM. We wish you Godspeed in your retirement, and we hope you have a healthy and happy retirement and come back to see us. We'll move on to the next item, which is instruction items. Dr. Thacker.
Thank you, President Riley and Board of Trustees. Penn High School teacher, Mr. Bennett Blazo, joins us to request final board approval of the high school student teacher trip to Costa Rica on April 5th through the 13th, 2025. Introducing this item will be Director of Professional Development and Student Learning, Dr. Levon D. Null.
Good evening, President Riley, Dr. Thacker, members of the board. As always, we are very excited to share with you different opportunities that we're offering our students. And we are very excited this time to offer something to our high school students in early college. They are going to Costa Rica, which Mr. Blazo is going to share some more information with you in just a moment about that. But again, this is up for the second review. You have heard this once before, and now he's going to give you confirmation of the details and people attending. So it should be exciting.
Hey, everybody. Man, I know people are so formal and introduced that, hi, I'm just going to say hi, everybody. But here I am. I am here a second time, probably a third time for a different trip eventually. But Costa Rica is happening the first full week of April over their spring break. We'll be out on that Saturday and we'll come back that Sunday. I can hit click. So safety rating hasn't changed whatsoever. It is still exercise increased caution just for crime, local crime like pickpocketing or just something that just is very minor. But they want to make sure we're alert that small crime thefts could happen in Costa Rica. Now, Costa Rica trip is for the early college students. Now, if an early college student left the program and still is enrolled for the trip, they're more than welcome to come. But here are some criteria that they would have to meet to be able to go. They don't have any discipline records, not bringing anything harmful to the school, maybe would get suspended or keeping good grades. We don't want anyone who could be working on their grades while they're on spring break. That's actually, they're in Costa Rica. They could be working to improve those grades if they have all Fs. We need to make sure academics are important here. Now, we'll have 2 informational meetings. Don't ask me too much about what they are about because I haven't really thought about it, let's be honest. I will have something 30 days before the meetings, but it will be covering cultural things, making sure they are respectful to foreigners in those countries because a lot of them don't know what to expect. Many of them, I think 90% of the kids, this is the first time of them leaving the country. So we have 31 kids going, we have 5 parents going, and 5 teachers going. It's a big crew. We almost took up the entire airplane, but unfortunately not. Now here are the chaperones. There's me, Bennett Blazo. I've been teaching in early college ever since I came into Penn High School 8 years ago. We got Danielle Black. You might be familiar because she's on that winning state champion for speech and debate. What a beast. And then we got Carl Black. He helps at Schmucker for cross country and track. What a capable man. All of them have experience in schools in other countries. So there's those 2 and me. And then we got Miss Urel, and then we got Mr. Gutierrez. Both of them are part of the early college program. They've been since, I think Miss Urel was here in the early college program after 2 years at Penn. Mr. Goody was in the program 4 years. They know the kids. Every single one of them knows the kids. Now, tour specifics. Last time I didn't talk about curriculum. I guess that was a different thing to cover in 2022 or 2021 whenever I was here last. I didn't have standards aligned to activities we will be doing. They are labeled on there. We are good to go. And they're going to bring a lot of that back to the class. But nothing in the agenda has changed from when I proposed it back in 2021 or 2022. Any questions?
Questions.
Hey, wow.
go to coastal Punta Arenas,
Yes.
you have to eat at the Soda Mercando.
Okay,
So
why is that?
Fortunately, in my career, I go down to the Capos area
Okay.
quite frequently, and
Sweet.
it's phenomenal restaurant. And right next door, actually, a PHM grad owned a restaurant for years that got shut down during COVID.
Hey, that's awesome and sad
Small
at the
world.
same time.
Small world.
Cool.
I was ready to volunteer my Spanish language skills until I heard that Goody is going. So I think you're in.
I mean, we just
very
need
good
one more
hands.
kid to pay, and then we can get a free chaperone.
I just wanted to use the opportunity to thank you for being such a contagiously enthusiastic teacher. It was evident in this presentation, and of course, for being the amazing unified track and field coach that you are, and your joie to change languages, your joie de vivre is just contagious. And it's what attracts so many students to these programs like study abroad for a week, as well as the track program. So
Yeah, you're
thank
welcome
you for all
anytime.
the energy that you share with Penn High School.
Yeah.
Board members, motion to approve the Penn High School trip to Costa Rica between April 5 and April 13, 2025, as presented.
I second.
All those in favor vote aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed vote nay. Motion carries by vote of 5-0.
Hey, thanks everyone. You have a good night.
Buen viaje.
Okay, we'll move on to the next item, which is an approval to begin planning and preparations for a middle school trip to Japan. Dr. Thacker.
Thank you, President Riley and Board of Trustees. We're so excited to have so many great opportunities for students in Penn-Harris-Madison. Discovery Middle School teacher, Mr. James Howard, is joining us this evening to present the proposed middle school student-teacher trip to Japan in the summer of 2026, and this will be introduced by Dr. Dean Knoll.
Good evening again. So now we're going to move to middle school for our travel abroad experiences. And Mr. Howard is going to share those details we are proposing tonight to start advertising the trip to Japan 2026. So we're doing this a little bit early just to get lots of people who are interested. So he's going to share with you about that. And I will say that Mr. Howard is one of our most veteran teachers traveling with students. And he successfully traveled with over 100 students, teachers, and parents this last year. So we are very confident that he can do it again and are excited to hear the details he'll share with you tonight.
That's not going to move. Good evening, Dr. Thacker, President Riley, members of the School Board of Trustees. I'm here this evening to share an exciting middle school opportunity to Japan in the summer of 2026. This trip will support a multitude of 7th grade social studies standards about feudal and imperial Japan, but more importantly, will provide our students with a life-changing travel experience. The trip will be 9 days of travel and touring of historical and cultural sites both in Osaka and Tokyo, Japan, with the tentative dates right now set from the 14th of July to the 22nd of July, 2026. Like our other middle school travel abroad experiences, we're going to be using EF Tours to make all the arrangements. I've continued to have positive experiences relying on EF to plan past trips. And they've been able to offer the travel insurance that we require that puts student safety first. Skipped a slide, my apologies. For this entire experience, the cost will be $4,673 per student. And it is with that that I request permission to begin advertising this trip. Thank you.
Questions? Okay. Do I have a motion to authorize the planning and preparation for the middle school student-teacher trip to Japan in July 2026 as presented?
I so move.
I second.
All those in favor vote aye.
Aye.
Any opposed vote nay. Motion carries by a vote of 5-0. And Dr. Dean Knoll, we thank you so much for your participation in planning these trips. Mr. Howard, it's always a good thing when you come to present the school board. We have no questions for you whatsoever. I think it's because we know that the road is well hewn when you're in charge. So
Well, thank you.
Thank you
that,
very
sir.
much. We'll see you soon.
All right.
We'll move on to the instruction reports, curriculum and instructional changes. Dr. Thacker.
Thank you, President Riley and Board of Trustees. Penn High School Principal, Dr. Sean Gallagher, Associate Principal, Mrs. Rachel Fry, and Assistant Principal, Mr. Josiah Parker, join us this evening to present information on proposed course offerings for Penn High School students during the 2025-2026 school year. The presentation will also include a summary of the proposed new Indiana Department of Education diploma requirements that begin with the class of 2029. Dr. Heather Short will introduce this item for us.
Good evening, Dr. Thacker, President Riley, members of the board. We are excited to hear the presentation from Penn High School this evening. Again, this is an annual course review for program of studies, and then courses are updated and brought to you as recommendations initially. In addition, this evening we'll be hearing a little bit more about the proposed new graduation requirements for diplomas, starting with next year's freshmen. So with that, I will turn it over to Mr. Parker.
Thank you, Dr. Thacker, President Riley, members of the board. It's great to be in front of you again tonight. I think between the two of you, you did most of my introduction, so I don't need to say a whole lot. We are going to combine a little bit our new program studies updates as well as the new graduation diploma requirements that are coming here before December. And I believe the diploma has been the same since I was in high school. So it's been over 20 years. We've had pretty much the same diploma. So this is kind of a big change for us. The state is really going towards looking at some options. So some of that's going to happen, you'll see with our new courses. I think over the next few years, we'll continue to see a few changes with courses from these new diploma requirements. So the new courses we have for you today are listed on the screen. The first course, there is a requirement for a computer science course that all students must take, again, starting with our current 8th graders. And this is the course that the state has identified as that required course. It's Computing Foundations for a Digital Age. It's a 1-semester course that all students will take at Penn, probably their 10th grade year or that summer before their 10th grade year. We do have a full computer science pathway, career and technical education pathway, and that will also count for this requirement. So students do not have to take both of those. They can choose one or the other if they want to go a full pathway in computer science. The next two courses are a new venture from the College Board. They're going to try some AP career and technical education courses or pathways. So the first course that they're going to offer is in the computer science and cybersecurity world. So we will be a pilot school for this next year, AP networking and AP cybersecurity fundamentals. It'll fit within our existing within our existing computer science and cybersecurity pathway. So it will not be actually any new courses or blocks that are needed, but it'll kind of fit within what we currently have. So we will pilot that. Steve Sinish will probably be the teacher for those courses. We'll pilot those to see how they go, give feedback to the College Board before they continue to add new AP courses within the CTE world. The next course on the list is an AP Physics 2. This is an algebra-based physics class. So we had some success a couple of years ago with an algebra-based Physics 1 class, and some kind of more kids showed interest in it. More kids could hit that qualification. Before it was you had to be in calculus or have taken calculus. So by opening this up to algebra, then it's a different way kids can learn the same topics. So if they're interested in physics, it's kind of just one less hurdle they have to get over to take that course. The next couple of courses are classes that are existing that we've added to be dual credit. So we have a pre-calculus and a trigonometry accelerated course that will be dual credit through IU in their ACP program. And we have a sociology and psychology course that will be dual credited through Ivy Tech. So both of those will add options for our students to get more towards the ICC, Indiana College Core, which you'll hear about later in the new graduation requirements. And the last course on the list is a Spanish for Heritage Speakers 2. So we added this course last year, the year 1 version. We found that there were students who already knew a language, already knew the Spanish, so just putting them into our typical Spanish 1 class really wasn't a great fit. You know, the things they need to work on was drastically different than what our non-Spanish speakers needed to work on. So this has been a great win for that group. So this will just add that next level of course available to our students.
Recognizing their linguistic skills as an asset and helping to cultivate that in those students. I think that's awesome. But I'm really intrigued. How did we come to be a school that is piloting 2 AP courses for the College Board?
We're Penn High School.
Did College Board come to us? Did you volunteer?
There was an application. They offered it through, I think I heard about it through our Indiana Association of School Principals.
Okay.
So we signed up to be one of those courses,
And
one of
they
those
chose
schools.
Penn?
I believe so. We heard back yet? I don't know if
So
we've heard back yet.
Like we were first we volunteered to do it and then they
Yes.
selected Penn. That's
Yes.
really exciting. It's really exciting.
It is. It should be fun, and it's kind of different. It's like I said, it's a CT pathway, so the AP is trying to get into that world. So it'll be nice and neat to see how that works with the AP. Any other questions I could answer today on new courses? All right.
Thank you, Mr. Parker. So I have the privilege of sharing some pretty exciting news from the high school world as we think about the new high school diploma. So the state of Indiana has been on a path for a little while now on reimagining what the high school experience will look like. And so what I'm going to share with you tonight is actually the second draft. I'm not going to go back into the history because there has been a draft that went out in March. There was a long period of time of feedback from the community, lots of different stakeholders. But tonight we're going to talk about Diploma Draft 2.0. And I think we're in a really good place. And I'll kind of talk through when I think it's going to be approved officially and our plans as a high school to make this diploma work for our students. So if you look at the screen here, I just want to highlight the very first item here. I mean, the state of Indiana is imagining this new diploma because they see lots of needs across the state. Fewer Indiana students are enrolling in higher education, and even fewer are graduating. And so I think that, that's a state concern. At Penn High School, we're not experiencing that concern as much as other schools throughout the state. But obviously it's something that the state feels is necessary. And so you'll see increased flexibility for students throughout the new diploma. Specifically at Penn High School, addressing this concern, when you think about how many of our students are actually enrolling in college, we were between 2017 and 2019, we were about mid-50s, mid 50% of our students enrolling in college. When we got to 2020, we went down to about 45%. But our last year's cohort, we're back up to 58% of our students who are enrolling in college, which is very exciting. And another piece of data that I thought you would think is interesting as I was looking back at some data as I think about the college enrollment is 98% of our students who enroll in college do not need remediation. So, they're getting the benchmark courses and they're ready. They don't need remedial courses when they arrive on campus. So that's exciting. So as you think about another reason why they want to reimagine the high school diploma is there's a need for students to leave high school with credentials. And because of the lower number of students enrolling in college, they want students leaving with something that will help them be employable right out of college. So as you think about credentials, there are lots of different credentials a student can earn while in high school. Specifically at Penn, we do offer several, specifically the Indiana College Core, which is a credential, and then the associate's degree is also a credential. And so we hover around 13 to 14%. Actually, our last cohort, 13% of our seniors graduated with a credential, which is great. You can see in the middle of the slide there, 5% is the state average, the state number in terms of credentials. So we're above that benchmark, which is great, but we want to continue to grow that for students that may not be thinking about college as their next step. So the new diploma, the priorities that the state has put forward is they want to maximize flexibility for students so they can really personalize their journey. They want to make it easy for all of us to understand. Okay, so you'll see that here in a minute. And of course, the big goal is to increase access to work-based learning and how to make that happen. So this is just a reminder, the timeline, we are past August 14th, but March 27th is when the first proposal went out. In August of this year, they came out with 2.0 draft, and they're going to open up feedback from the state level in about a month because this new diploma has to be approved by the end of this calendar year. So in December, we will know exactly what it's going to be, but what I'm going to present to you, I think, is going to be pretty close to the final product based on the feedback that's been shared. An important part to note here is you'll look in the bottom yellow box. The federally required alternative diploma is still available to our exceptional education students. So the new diploma does not change the expectations for students earning that diploma. That was an important distinction that needed to be made at the state level, and so they shared that important piece of data. So I'm going to skip through these next couple slides because these are pretty, we're going to get to this one here because this is the important one. So as you think about the key themes for the new diploma, the second one, which you'll see here, is it going to prepare students for success and college readiness for university enrollment? If you were paying attention to the first draft, the universities across the state of Indiana raised a red flag. There were a lot of things about the new diploma that they didn't understand, and they were worried that Indiana students would not be competitive when they were applying to the Indiana schools. A lot of our students apply to schools outside the state, so there was some work that needed to happen there. And of course, the state wants to make sure that there's experiential learning, which is the work-based learning component, and of course, we want students to have a well-rounded education. So when we look at the new diploma, students will be able to earn one of 3 seals. So they're listed there: an enrollment seal, an employment seal, and an enlistment and service seal. So the goal is to earn one of those 3, so students are ready after high school. So this next graphic is a little small, but I think you guys have the PDF version on your desktop. Okay, so I'm going to speak to it on here. But what this is a kind of a nice comparison between the 2 diplomas. So the current Core 40 you can see on the left, and then you can see the changes kind of side by side on what the new diploma is asking students to complete. And I'm just going to point out a couple significant things that are different. So if you think about English, they still need 8 credits. The only difference there is they need 1 credit in a communication course. And that can be a number of different courses, but that communication course must exist. And then the additional 5 credits are flexible. I imagine most Penn High School students will still take 4 years of English. Those English credits can vary based on academic level and rigor, but they will still stay on that track, but we will add a communication-focused component into one of those courses. For math, you'll see Algebra 1 is the only required course compared to the other one that says Geometry and Algebra 2. Personal Finance is a brand new course that all students must take. And then students have to take 4 additional math credits. So they are giving flexibility as to what those math credits are. So it doesn't have to be your traditional geometry, algebra 2 sequence. Just to give you an idea of what Penn High School is thinking, we'll probably have most of our students take geometry. And then students that are taking algebra 2 as juniors, typically we'll probably have a flex option there for them. There'll be a number of new courses the state's going to introduce in a couple years that students can take for that 3rd level math credit. Of course, they can choose algebra 2 if they are interested in that course, but there will be flexibility there. Science, biology is the same. Students have to take a computer science course, as Mr. Parker mentioned. And then when you think about the other 4 credits, they don't all have to be science-based. 2 of them do, but the other 2 can be STEM-focused. So it can be any science, technology, engineering, or math course. Previously, it had to be a science course. So all of our Project Lead the Way courses, our technology courses, those will all count within the science, technology, and engineering bucket. Social studies, the big change there is econ is not listed as a required course. So that course will still be offered as an elective for Penn High School students, but seniors will not need that as a required credit. But they will need the 2 credits of world perspectives. There are a number of courses we imagine will fit that requirement. We haven't received that list yet, but we think geography and history of the world, AP world history, and they are also saying a 3rd level of a world language would count as a world perspectives course. And so the idea there is to encourage students to continue to take a world language course, which will make more sense when I get to the next slide. If you look at PE and health, they have reduced the PE credit from 2 to 1 and kept health. Obviously, health is very important, as we learned tonight. So that credit, that health credit was not in the first draft a couple months ago. So I'm very happy they kept that there. So they do have a reduction in the PE credit. And then where the real flexibility comes in is the next 12 credits. They have 12 credits to take any course that they like at Penn High School. And the hope there is that they work towards one of the seals, the academic seals that I'll explain on the next slide. And they have to end up with 42 credits, which is 2 more than the core 40. So there are 3 seals. You see honors, the honors seal, and there's an enrollment, employment, and enlistment. So to make this simple, if you look at the enrollment seal, the big change there, if you look at the first bullet point, is under the core 40 academic honors diploma, students needed 6 semesters of a world language. The state's only requiring 4 now. So that's 2 years instead of 3 years. And so kind of going back to that previous slide, I mentioned social studies. A student could stay in world language for 3 years and count that world perspective credit by staying in a world language course. And so we hope to eventually get there, but that is a change, a big change. But if you look at the rest of those requirements and kind of think about our academic honors diploma, there are a lot of similarities. Not much has changed other than when you get to the bottom, it does say you have to take, if you take AP courses and you're taking 4 credits, you must also pass the exam. For previously, you just had to take the AP courses. Now you have to take and pass those exams. And then, but there's options. They can do 6 college credits. We do not offer IB courses, so that won't be an option for Penn students, but obviously if they score well on the SAT, that counts. So the enrollment honor seal is essentially the academic honors diploma, right? But 1 year less of a world language. That's really the main difference. So we see a lot of our students staying on this path. If you move over 1, you'll see the employment seal. Really, that one is not going to be much different than a student now who might be getting the core 40 diploma. Because if you see the very first bullet there says, basically take 3 courses in a CTE pathway. Students already have to do that now, so they're going to keep doing that. The only difference is they got to do some work-based learning. So that's the part the state wants students focusing on. So 100 hours of work-based learning will be a requirement for those students. And then meet an attendance goal. And so that goal hasn't been really defined for us as a school, as a state, but there will be an actual metric that a student must meet from an attendance perspective to be able to get the employment seal. And lastly, there's an enlistment and service seal. And the big difference there is they have to take a public service course, which we don't offer yet, and I'll talk about that here in a second. So they can do one of those things or do a 1 year of a JROTC program. And then you'll see there's also the attendance goal and get a certain score on the ASVAB. On both of these, you'll see demonstrate skill development in communication, collaboration, and work ethic. That's going to be just a part of their experience at Penn High School. It's not going to be a separate course they have to take. They're going to get that experience in their courses. All right. So I know that's a lot, but we're going to expect all of our students at Penn High School to earn a seal. One of those 3, and we'll kind of talk about how we think that's possible here in a second. Yep. Mm-hmm.
With respect to the enrollment, the bit about the change to the world language requirement, I think this is a real opportunity to make sure that we are educating our own student body. Most colleges require 3 years of foreign language. Is that correct? And I know most selective require 4.
So that was an interesting question that principals were worried about when the first diplomas expectations came out, because world language wasn't in there as a requirement. And so we actually did some research, and we looked at every school that our students have enrolled in the last 2 or 3 years. And we looked at their minimum requirements for all the different, like social studies, math, world language, and most of them only require 4 semesters, which is 2 years. Some, there are only a couple, less than a handful, that require 3 in there when you look at like minimum requirements for enrollment.
So mostly I just want to make sure that our students know from freshman year what their plan is. So that is, if that is something they want to pursue, they're making sure that they have what they need to apply to whatever school that they want.
They will.
And then the second question just brings up JROTC, because I remember we had Penn High School veteran a couple years that reached out to us about beginning a program at Penn. It's a very expensive program when we looked into it, but I also know that our service branches are very much in need of recruits. So
Yes.
is there any talk about reconsidering a JROTC program? I also know we got AM General right down the road that I would think would be a big supporter of these kinds of
I would
efforts.
love to have a program like that. I think we just need to, when I think about rolling this out, I wonder if we start to see how many students want to get the enlistment seal, right? And that will start to give us some numbers. They'll take the public service course, and then that could lead into some discussions around a JROTC programming, I would imagine. Because it's hard a lot of times kids don't make that decision until their senior year sometimes. So part of it will be us educating students. Okay, if you know early on, this is a diploma track that you can take, that'll help kind of give us some data to look at future programming.
Well, just keep in mind the gentleman that spoke to the school board a couple of
Yep.
years ago, if you decide to go that route, to
Yep.
make sure that we reach out. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Before we get into the Honors Plus, just on a timing perspective, and I mean, what is it? Sophomore, junior year, senior year, where they're kind of, it's almost too late to change courses. If I thought I wanted to be an electrician, worked for my uncle this summer, going into my senior year, and said, "Man, I don't want to do that. I want to go to college." Is it too late going into senior year?
No, I think so. The freshman year will be pretty much identical.
Sure.
Under the new diploma requirements as it is now. So like that freshman year, not much is going to change. Usually students decide if they're going to do an academic honors diploma, and so they've started at least that first year of a world language. But everybody else has got that first year of kind of basic courses.
Okay.
When you look at the list of courses on the basic diploma, like the new diploma,
Yep.
All of those kids will have to do that second year, and they're going to be in those same courses, right? Some kids will be taking AP courses, some will be taking dual credit when you think about our early college programming. But if you wait to your junior year to say, hey, I want to make sure I want to go to college and I need world language, well, technically you need 2 years. So junior year is a good time to make that decision, so you can at least get the 2 years in, depending on the college you want to go to, which is helpful. So there's going to be off ramps and on ramps at different times, depending on kind of what institution you want to go to.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a good question. Good question.
Could you tell me how the work-based study program is going to fit in?
Yeah. So currently we have around 300 to 350 students in a work-based learning program. So what we're going to have to do is we're going to be really prescriptive with students that are moving towards the employment seal, because they need 100 hours. So the way those 100 hours have been explained to us is they can get those 100 hours in the summer, throughout the school year, from freshman to senior year. You think about 100 hours, that's 2.5 weeks of work, technically.
Right, that's not very much.
So
it really will not be a daytime where they leave school and come back.
That's what the state would like for that to be that way for many students. There's like a release block.
Right.
So students are making that decision like their junior or senior year, because most freshmen aren't working and starting that path. But
I was just looking at, if you leave school, it takes away from another class, so it looks like it would be hard to, get all of your other classes in if you have to do that where you have to leave school and come back, because that's going to take at least 2 periods.
so here's what's something interesting, Mr. Garrett. So we'll go back to this slide. 12 credits is the personalized elective. Okay, so basically those 12 credits can be anything a student wants to take. So they could take 12 credits of work-based learning. I mean, that's what the state is telling us. If they know they're job focused, they want to make sure they're working, they'll get all their other requirements done, but that could be their focus. So it's a requirement now as part of the diploma, depending on what their interests are.
And will the students find their own jobs, or is that going to be something that Penn High School is going to find?
It'll be a little bit of both. Like we'll have partnerships we've developed, that there are work plans that we've built with that employer, because that's part of the requirement for work-based learning. We have to have a work plan. So, but sometimes a kid's like, I'm working at this place, we don't have a work plan with them, then we'll establish it with them. So we have that partnership.
Dr. Gallagher, one other question, and I realize I need some clarification around the word credentials.
Mm-hmm.
So you mentioned Core 40, and you mentioned
the ICC,
The
and
associate's degree,
associate's
right?
degree.
My question is, I think about our students in our CTE programs who, for example, get professional licensure in welding,
Mhm.
for example. Do those fall under the category of credentials? Or is there another term for that?
They do.
Certification?
The state is actually has a list they haven't released yet.
Okay.
They keep telling us there's a credential list. We know that a lot of the early college credentials, when a kid finishes maybe a 2-year program and they're leaving with a technical certificate, all of those will be on this list, but we just
Great.
haven't seen the list yet.
Okay. Well, I think that's good for us since we
Mhm.
offer so many of them or put kids on the pathway to earning those things
Right.
that I imagine we're well positioned.
We are definitely well positioned for it, depending on what the kid wants to do. But I'll get into some data here on the next few slides. So the next, I guess if you want to ramp up an honors seal, there's an honors plus seal, right? And so if you look at the enrollment honors plus, you'll see that a student must earn the honors seal in addition to the items they've listed there below. So an associate's degree counts. A technical certificate, which Mrs. Roach is what you were just talking about. A lot of our Career Center kids will earn that, the Indiana College Core, and then AP Scholar with distinction. We don't have the Cambridge or the IB diploma offerings. So last year we had, I think it was 98 students earn an associate's degree. We had, I think, an additional 17 earn the ICC. And then this is the first time I've ever calculated this because I hadn't been paying much attention to it really, but the AP Scholar with distinction data, we had 52 seniors last year earn that. And what that is you have to take 5 AP courses and have an average of a 3.5 or higher on the AP exams. We already have, I think, 40 juniors that have already met that expectation. So that's exciting. So we're gonna have a good number. It looks like if I added up about 150 or so students from last year's cohort would have met the honors plus seal based on that data, which is exciting. So we're already on a track for students to be earning the honors plus seal if it sits exactly as it's described here. And then employment and enlistment, there's some minor changes there. You'll see if you're an employment seal and you want to get to employment plus, you also have to get an associate's degree or earn that technical certificate or any kind of ICC or advanced industry certificate. And they have apprenticeship programs that count. Those are some things we're still learning about, but those will also count for the employment honors plus seal. And then lastly, the enlistment seal, you'll see it's just getting a higher score on the ASVAB, which is a test they have to take. And then they have to do some hours of public service. You'll see there's 3 different things that they would have to do. They can also participate in 2 seasons of a sport, which is a unique thing listed there. So that's giving those kids options if they're in the enlistment and service pathway. Okay, so as I mentioned, we expect that the next board meeting, the State Board of Ed meeting, they're going to release the diploma rules, which are all the details behind these new diplomas. And then there's going to be about a month of feedback that anybody throughout the state can offer. And then the hope is at the December board meeting, we'll know for sure because they don't expect, I've been in a lot of meetings, they're saying not much is going to change. So that's what they're telling us. I hope that is exactly what they're saying because we're planning on that. And I feel pretty good that this will be the final plan. So at Penn, so just to go through some details here, preparing for college and careers is a course our 8th graders take. That's a new required course in the diploma. So we're already offering that in 8th grade, which is fantastic. So our students' first high school transcripted grade is from PCC in 8th grade. 9th grade will be PE and health combined. If you PE right now is in 9th grade, health is in 10th grade. We're going to make that an integrated experience in 9th grade. They'll take computer science, the 1 credit in 10th grade, and we feel personal finance is best suited for the junior year. That's when students are thinking about paying their bills, I think. And every Penn student's going to earn a seal. That's our goal. As you think about these new diploma goals, I put a lot of information on here, and I've talked through a couple of these data points already. But if you think about the new seals, the enrollment honor seal will be our academic honor seal. So we're already going to have 55% of last year's cohort earn academic honors diploma. That number is probably going to go up just because there's one less year of a world language. And that's a lot of times could be the year that some students might struggle with the language, the third year. And then the enrollment plus, honors plus seal, you'll see we already have students getting those different designations. We will have to work in the work-based learning for those students as part of that programming. The employment honors seal, I mentioned that you got to complete a CTE pathway. We have to add 100 hours of work-based learning. And then I mentioned the IDOE is going to add some CTE-based math courses to replace Algebra 2 as an option. And then, this will be a stretch for us. We're going to try to get some employment honors plus seals, but that's going to take us a few years, and we're still kind of in the planning phases for that. And then lastly is enlistment. We need to offer a new course. That's the public service course. We'll offer that next year. We'll bring this to you next year as a new course proposal, and then kind of work down that pathway. Okay, so we only have a couple more slides. Mrs. Fry is going to share a few slides regarding some of our programming that connects to the diploma seals.
So I don't know about you, but at that point, as we had, our leadership team had spent a lot of time really hyper-focused on these changes and following what was going on at the state level. I needed to see some examples. We all needed to see some examples and really put this on paper and some examples with color, I might note. So I'm not going to share all of them with you tonight, I promise, but we do want to just close by sharing these samples and really seeing what the four-year experience would be like for students with different post-secondary aspirations. So this first one would be a four-year plan ending in an honors plus seal. On the enrollment column, if you were following that graphic. This also ends with students earning the Indiana College Core. I've explained before, but as a reminder, that is really a means by which students meet all of the core requirements that they would normally take their freshman year on a college campus. Colors there, the green are Ivy Tech courses, who is their primary post-secondary partner. The white are elective options where students still have some wiggle room there to make some choices of their own in elective courses. And then the black and gold classes are, of course, our Penn courses. So these meet all of the requirements and then end in that honors seal. And then another similar example that also would end in an honors plus seal and a student earning the Indiana College Core credential. The red here, my new color, is ACP or our IU courses. So we have some students that know they're planning to go to IUSB, IU Bloomington, or another campus. And so they might prefer to take those courses over the Ivy Tech courses. And then blue is an AP course example I put on there. There's also wiggle room there for a student who might like to take more AP courses and really challenge themselves academically in their pursuit to post-secondary. And so this is just another sample ending in the same way, but students, I know students right now that are taking similar course load to this and very much meeting those new requirements successfully. A third example I would like to share has a little bit more green. So this four-year plan is specific to our early college academy and those students working towards earning their Associates of General Studies. So a little less electives that you'll see, although I might say that some of those dual credit courses might seem like elective or be courses that students would otherwise choose, in addition to the requirements that are necessary for the AGS and for the high school side of the required courses. You might be starting to realize there are seemingly infinite combinations of what this can look like, and especially at a place like Penn High School, where I think we're really fortunate to be large and expansive and offer an array of courses by which students can choose. And so this is a sample that will show what a student who might be going down the employment pathway, earning an honors seal, and similar to what Dr. Gallagher shared, you'll see there the CTE pathway course in the sixth column. And so just choosing a pathway, sometimes we'll see students now already might choose two to begin with. So their elective slots would also be filled with another pathway. And maybe by freshman year or sophomore year, they decide this is the one for me, and they may just stick with the one. And then lots of space, to your point, Mr. Garrett, to be able to accomplish the required work-based learning hours that are associated with that, as well as take other courses at Penn High School that they might choose in those elective slots. So if you are curious or want to know any more, there are a lot more of these. I can't, I have to thank Stacy Eck, early college counselor, for the graphic. I stole our 4-year plan from early college and just started playing with it for as it relates to all of the things that are proposed in the new diploma changes. But that concludes our presentation for tonight. We're happy to answer any questions that you might have.
Would it make sense with this new diploma to change, you mentioned counselors, of changing them to specific for enrollment versus employability, to where as now I think it's by last name, correct?
That is correct. Yeah, we have freshman counselors for that transition from 8th to 9th, and then from 10 through 12, it is divided up by alpha. I don't know that there have been discussions about that. It's an interesting idea. As you spoke earlier to the on-ramps and off-ramps, I wonder, thinking about that impact, as well as I know one of the benefits of being split alpha is a counselor getting to know the whole family.
Sure.
So I appreciate the suggestion. I think it's certainly something to talk about.
Okay.
Other questions or comments? Well, Dr. Gallagher and Mrs. Fry, thank you so much for this presentation. You synthesized and organized a lot of information very clearly. We appreciate the PowerPoint presentation. All of us have it. Yes, we do have it in PDF. So keep this nearby as we continue to get our arms around these new changes. And so we can expect to hear back from you then in December.
Yeah, you're asking me to come back? I imagine, so you guys can decide, but they're going to approve the actual diploma requirements in December sometime. It'll probably be after the December board meeting, I would imagine.
Fair enough.
And then I would think we would present it as part of maybe our first semester achievement report as kind of if there are any changes from what we shared tonight.
Perfect.
If that makes sense.
All right. Thanks so much. Okay, again, our thanks go out to Dr. Gallagher and Mrs. Fry and Mr. Josiah Parker for their participation this evening and for the information they provided. We'll move on to our business and operational services action item, which is approval of specialized transportation services. Dr. Thacker.
Thank you, President Riley and Board of Trustees. Tonight, Chief Operating Officer Dr. Aaron Lenski will present our first business action item, which is a request for approval of specialized transportation service contractors. Dr. Lenski.
President Riley, members of the board, before you tonight, the administration recommends approval for 2 different vendors, MTC King Enterprises, which we have traditionally used, I think, since 1996, somewhere in there. And we'd like to add a second called EverDriven to provide specialized transportation services for our school district. The terms of each agreement's found in those contracts. They slightly differ, so it's tough to go through in this venue. These specialized services serve the kids in various ways. We have got students who are McKinney-Vento, meet the Homelessness Act, and we need to provide them safe travel to school. We have students who have disabilities, and their IEP committee has determined that they need to be on a smaller transportation than is. We have some non-traditional cases. Sometimes it involves school safety that we would do. And so for last school year, we had 12 total students that we averaged providing these services for. It kind of ebbs and flows depending on what's going on. So certainly happy to answer any questions that you have.
Board members, questions or comments? Hearing none, do I have a motion to approve the specialized transportation service contractor agreements with MTC King Enterprises and EverDriven as presented?
I so move.
I second.
All those in favor vote aye.
Aye.
Any opposed vote nay. Motion carries by a vote of 5-0. For our next business action item, Dr. Thacker, back over to you.
Thank you, President Riley and Board of Trustees. Dr. Linsky will continue with our next business action item with a request for approval of a professional service agreement with DLZ to evaluate pedestrian lighting on the Penn High School campus. Dr. Linsky.
Thank you, Dr. Thacker. We do recommend a professional services agreement with DLZ Consulting. They're going to do a comprehensive review of the entire Penn campus. That includes all of Penn, everything on this, basically this block. Plus, we're going to get across the street where the students park. The total cost for that is $18,750. This is a proactive measure to make sure that we have lots of activities, early mornings, late nights. We want to make sure our walkways, our parking lots are well lit, and it's a safe passage for all students and for our community that visit. In addition, this is really just a piece of a larger review that we're doing for our pedestrians and safety. We've had that reviewed by several individuals, and we're working with the St. Joseph County Engineer's Office to have some improvements done at our intersections that interchange Bittersweet. And so you'll notice down at McKinley, they've already started painting those ladder markings down for our pedestrians. So we've got some future planning for some additional upgrades, but this is just another step to increase safety at Penn-Harris-Madison.
Sounds like a great idea to me. Board members, any questions? Do I have a motion to approve the professional services agreement with DLZ to evaluate pedestrian lighting on the Penn High School campus as presented?
I so move.
I second.
All those in favor vote aye.
Aye.
Any opposed vote nay. Motion carries by a vote of 5-0. Thank you, Dr. Linsky. We appreciate your presentation on both those items. Move on to our next business and operational item, which is a hearing. Dr. Tack.
Thank you, President Riley and Board of Trustees. President Riley will introduce the agenda item regarding the approval of an additional appropriation for the debt service fund. Mr. Riley?
Board members and members of the public, at this time, we're considering approval of an additional appropriation for the debt service fund to pay a common school loan not appropriated in the 2024 approved budget. An appropriation in the amount not to exceed $228,091 in the debt service fund numbered 0200 is required to pay for the common school loan principal and interest approved on December 28, 2023 for repayment in 2024. The funds to meet such additional appropriations are sufficient in the cash balance of the debt service fund. Taxpayers of the school corporation appearing at the meeting do have the right to be heard in respect to the additional appropriation, and I now open a public hearing on this item. Is there anyone in the audience who would like to address this item before the board? Hearing and seeing none, I now close the public hearing. Board members, do I have a motion to approve Exhibit A, which is the additional appropriation resolution for the debt service 2024?
I so move.
I second.
All those in favor vote aye.
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 Any opposed vote nay. Motion carries by a vote of 5-0. We thank you for being proactive in your communications with the Department of Local Government Finance, keeping the school corporation compliant with respect to the permission to spend. We'll move right along to the hearing of visitors. At regular board meetings, the public is invited to address general topics under the hearing of visitors without registering. A time limit of 3 minutes shall be enforced for persons wishing to speak during the hearing of visitors. Board Attorney, Mr. John Rogers, will keep time and let you know as your time is expiring. It is requested that names and addresses be stated at the beginning of such comments. Individuals may speak only once during this section of the agenda. Please understand that personnel issues absolutely cannot be addressed during open sessions of the board. Please be cognizant not to name any PHM school board member, employee, administrator, teacher by name. Facts and circumstances can be discussed. Names and persons cannot. These laws are designed to treat all employees fairly and allow for a thorough review of personnel matters. I respectfully ask that anyone wishing to address the board abide by this policy, and please use orderly and appropriate language and volume when addressing the board. Also, this is an opportunity for members to address the board, not each other. Please refrain from directing your remarks to other members of the public. Repeated violations of these instructions could result in the forfeiture of your remaining time allotment. With that, we'll open up the hearing of visitors.
Before we start the 3-minute clock, could I make a comment about this building before we start? It's only going to take a second or two. Is that all right? I was here in 1980 when this building opened. That's 44 years ago, and I just want to say I have come full circle. I'm back again. 44 years, long time. This building looks as good, if not better, than it did when we opened it. That's a testimony to the tremendous work the people in PHM have done. Maintenance, custodial staff, and I've been to other buildings as well, and we've maintained them as well. I think that's pretty impressive. Okay, let's start the clock. My name is Art Klinger. I and my family have lived in Harris Township for the past 34 years. In addition, I was a teacher, administrator, director of our planetarium, and varsity football coach for 45 years. I have a few questions and concerns. For instance, under board ethics in the policy manual, it says, among other things, board members shall not engage in partisan politics, but rather remain nonpartisan. Clearly, our board president does not abide by this, since he is partisan towards 3 of our 6 candidates for the school board. He has done this by promoting 3 of them on his Facebook profile. Why did he pick them over the other 3 candidates? Why weren't the other 3 asked to join this coalition? After all, the other 3 have given a combined total of over 120 plus years of educational experience to PHM. How would he choose, or what would these chosen 3 do if elected? How would they vote? Would they be inclined to vote on all things related to PHM? Wouldn't there be a conflict of interest based on their allegiance to him? Could his involvement be seen as a clever attempt for control of the board? What he has done sets up a very unpleasant we versus them atmosphere, therefore dividing us rather than bringing us together in our attempts to assist in taking PHM higher and farther in all of our endeavors. We, meaning all 6 candidates, care very much for PHM. So why is he trying to divide us? These questions will persist because, well, to me, they are so obvious. In a nutshell, his actions appear to be unethical. Therefore, they do not pass the smell test, and for that matter, the optics test. Because of what he has done, this entire process appears to look disingenuous or underhanded, or how about misleading? As you can tell, I'm disgusted and very disappointed. I was dumb enough to think this was going to be based on what each of us brings to the table, namely experience, qualifications, and new ideas. Sadly, this
Thank you,
doesn't
Mr.
seem to
Klinger.
be the case.
Your time's expired, but thank you for your remarks.
Thank you.
Anybody else?
My name is Brent Curtis, and I have 1 child in the PHM schools. After next month's election, this board is likely to see some new faces. However, with the amount of endorsing going on, those new faces may not be a surprise to some people, and that is not necessarily a good thing. Now would be the ideal time for this board to examine its policies and grade its performance over the last year. You're in a position of leadership. How would you rate yourself as leaders? More importantly, how would your constituents rate you as leaders? A bridge is defined as something that forms a connection between 2 things. A wall is defined as something that is a protective or restrictive barrier. Bridges join or link things. Walls divide or separate things. Leaders build bridges, not walls. At these meetings, parents are prohibited from addressing board members by name. Does that sound like a bridge or a wall? You want everyone to know your name on election day, but once elected, you prefer to remain nameless. Why bother putting nameplates in front of your chairs? That is irony in its purest form. I have never encountered an organization that doesn't allow a person to address a concern or question to a specific individual within that organization. If I had an issue for Dr. Gallagher, do you think he would avoid the topic? No. He would likely invite and welcome a discussion. Why should this board be any different? Why do you like to hide in anonymity? That is simply not fair to the families of PHM, and it needs to change. You made promises or commitments when you ran for this position. You want credit for things that are positive, but you don't want to be called out for problems. You can't have it both ways. Allow parents to direct questions to specific board members and then answer those questions. The biggest problem with communication is the illusion that it has occurred. True communication is a two-way street. One can't know if a message was received as intended without seeking and accepting feedback. Disagreements are normal, but they're healthy. Embrace them with an open mind, and they will spur discussion, generate ideas, and create opportunities. I genuinely want this board to be the best. So I ask you to be open to conversation, which may be unpleasant at times. I ask you to be courageous. I ask you to be different. I ask you to be better.
Thank you, Mr. Curtis. Anybody else?
Hi, my name is Katie Bell. I live at 1601 Kingsman Way. Last meeting I was here, I didn't plan on speaking, and then I got up and spoke. And tonight, it's the same thing. I wasn't planning on speaking, and I wanted to. So the last time I was at Bittersweet, I was 15. I was a freshman at Penn, and my friend's mom was a teacher here, and I volunteered at like a fall festival or a spring carnival. I can't remember which one. And I was doing face painting out in the lobby. So I'm glad I didn't have to do any face painting tonight. But thank you to Bittersweet for having us. I was sitting here listening to the amazing field trip to the apple orchard that they went on. And as a former teacher, I was just listening to the cross-curricular instruction that they've been doing. All of the great writing, I think, was incredible to hear from the elementary students. And then I saw on the screen that they did a writing PD for their teachers, and you could see that that was carrying over into student work, and that made me really proud. Something I wish that we could get done in our elementary schools is bring art into the classrooms, and I know that that's not possible with where the budget is right now, but seeing the artwork that went alongside the writing, just the cross-curricular instruction, that is such a high level of teaching and makes me really proud. And then the Pause Pledge, I wanted to take a picture of it and take it to my own house for my own 3 children, because that's like setting the bar very high, which we need to do. And the last thing was the international travel. When I was a student here, going to DC was like the big trip. So I just can't imagine being able to go to Japan and wherever else. I mean, that's just awesome. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Anybody else? Okay, seeing none, hearing none, we'll move on to visit. Oh, Mrs. Cartwright, come on up.
Hey, it's been a while since I've been here. The time of 6 o'clock is actually rather difficult, so I'm not sure why that was adjusted. It almost seems a little bit intentional to keep parents away. I myself am a mom, 3 kids, very busy. We're always doing things. It's dinner time, practices, and 6 o'clock is very, very difficult to get here. So I didn't really plan on saying anything tonight, but I felt compelled to. We seem to talk about safety a lot, and it's great that we're in the top whatever percentage of the nation for safety. I appreciate that. I love our resource officers. I consider them friends, and I really enjoy chatting with them and catching up when I see them. I think they do a fantastic job, and I have no doubt in my mind that they would protect our children at all costs, all costs. So we appreciate them, and we appreciate all the things that you're doing for safety. But what I want to know is, are we really as safe as you say? Are our students really safe? Safe from each other? Are our teachers safe? Safe from disrespectful and poorly behaved students? I was actually going to talk about a situation that involved my 2 girls, but I'm going to respect what happened. It was unsettling. One of my daughters was harassed and bullied for approximately 10 minutes at lunch by a different ethnic group than what she would be considered. Um, all I can say is if the roles were reversed, that would have been a major problem. And the fact that the lunchroom monitor, who is an assistant principal at the high school, watched it for 10 minutes and didn't do a thing about it. And we had to reach out to the school and have someone handle the situation is a major problem. I want to know when he was going to step in. Would someone have to put their hands on my child? Because I think that's completely inappropriate. I would think that you guys would say the same thing, considering you passed a resolution not that long ago where all students should feel safe in the schools. I would like to know why the person didn't step in and why my other daughter had to go to him and say, are you going to do anything about these girls harassing my sister?
Thank you, Mrs. Cartwright. Anybody else? Okay, Mr. Fox.
Mr. Riley, member of the board, my name is Gary Fox, 15975 Elmsford Court, Granger, Indiana. I've lived in the Harris Township for almost 40 years. I was lucky enough to serve on this board for 20 years. I have a record of 20 years of showing how I've performed on this board. I find it very disgruntling, disenchanting to have my integrity questioned. The CAF 4 form will come out October 18th. Anyone and everyone's available to look at it. I received one $50 contribution that wasn't funded by myself. So 99.99% of my campaign has been funded by me. If you look at my nomination form when I decided to run, there was not a single board member, not a single person related to the school system that was on my nomination form to run. To say that I won't be independent on the board would say that I must not have been smart when I filled out my form. I must have done things for 20 years of background that would say that I'm for sale. And I guarantee you that I would not have funded my program 100% by myself. Do people on Facebook support me? Yes. Do people on Facebook support the other 5 candidates? Yes. Do some board members support some of the other candidates? Their choice. I have no choice in that, say. So I just want to say I'm very disappointed. This campaign has been really good so far, and everybody's tried to stay positive and above board. I sure hope for the next 27 days we continue to keep that. And remember, we're trying to do this for the kids, the students, the parents, the whole PHM family, and let's keep it that way as we go forward. Thank you, President.
Thank you, Mr. Fox. Anybody else? Okay, we'll move on to board reports and requests. Board members, anything to report or request?
I just have a few questions for Mr. Rogers, if that's okay, since you're serving here as I just want you to confirm that school board races in the state of Indiana are indeed nonpartisan. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Could you explain a little bit? Most school boards, as well as most public entities across the United States, when conducting public meetings, utilize Robert's rules. Could you just explain why we use Robert's rules at public meetings, what their function is?
Right, so our policies speak to, and we use Robert's rules in every meeting for the purpose of having sort of seamless functioning of being able to run through an agenda. So Robert's rules have been around for hundreds of years and allow organizations across the country, whether it be homeowners associations, to Congress, to local school boards, provide a roadmap for how open public meetings are conducted.
So trying to keep public meetings focused on the business at hand and run efficiently.
Run efficiently, focused on what is at hand, and not sort of devolve from there.
An element of Robert's rules is depersonalizing.
That is correct. That's
Public meetings, correct?
That is stated in Robert's rules, yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Roach. Any other board members?
Yeah, I'd like to say a few things, sorry.
Mr. Garrett?
Just like to mention that the thing about this campaign that's bothered me is the fact that a political action committee has inserted itself into the middle of it. Now, political action committees, I mean, who are these people? Where do they get their money? And why do they pick 3 particular people to represent their political action committee on our board? Now, I understand not wanting to be, considered non-independent. I mean, that's very important to me. And I would suggest that associating with a political action committee and being supported by some board members, I mean, turn that around. If this board member had supported everyone except you, wouldn't that bother you? So the point is, we have a political action committee picking out people that they want to be on our board. And I'm sorry, it's really hard to feel that they aren't going to have some kind of pressure that they can apply to people going forward. I hope not. But if you want to be considered independent, tell the political action committee to go jump in the lake. You don't need them. You'll do it on your own, which is what we should be doing anyway, and there wouldn't be a problem. But when you gather together like that, these 3 against, and they're picked by the political action committee for some reason. It wasn't by chance. You guys didn't come together organically just one day to decide, well, hey, let's form a coalition. We're picked specifically by a political action committee for a reason. Now, I hope that's a good reason, but there's a lot of questions there. I even asked one of the members, I said, well, who is this person on the committee that asked you to be on this coalition? And they told me they couldn't remember. But I'd like to know who these people are. Hey, here you go. Why don't we get an investigative reporter from the South Bend Tribune, find out who this political action committee is? I don't know who they are. Or maybe if you know who they are and what they're doing and where they're getting their money, and maybe who's in the committee. Maybe there are people who are in the committee who have or can put pressure on people who are being selected. So that's the question. I mean, like it or not, when you have a political action committee picking 3 people on a board, it looks bad. It looks devious. Sorry. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Garrett. Any other school board members?
Yeah, I wanted to give a shout out to the PHM Educational Foundation. I think they started, that was the 3rd year we brought back the floats and the clubs, and just a magnificent parade that every year gets better. I'm not sure if you need a concrete poured on Saturday, I'm not sure where you're getting it, because there was at least 3 or 4 concrete trucks in the parade. Just an awesome evening. Love the events, love the community being around. I don't know where everybody parked, but that was just an awesome turnout. Secondly, I think I speak for all board members. We're available 24/7 for any questions, comments, or discussions. At least I am. If you don't have my contact information, always feel free to grab me after a meeting. You can find me pretty easily on social media, but I welcome any and open any conversations, and I've yet to turn down one in my 3 years. And then board member Garrett, I appreciate your concern. I can promise you any involvement I have with the PAC was just a group of parents that have supported me, and I've had open discussions with over the 3 years I've grown on the board, and they asked if I could use some help with resources, and I've yet to receive $1 from them. It's just been services of getting my message out, and they have not directed my message at all. Those are my words. So appreciate your concern on that.
Great, that's good.
I too am really encouraged by Friday night's homecoming, and extend my delight at this community, not just at the PHM Education Foundation, which did a wonderful job organizing the event, but attending the event and seeing everybody come out was so encouraging. It was just packed. The football game was packed. The baseball field was packed with children having fun, playing games. And the floats were great, you guys. I loved seeing the floats. You guys have done such an awesome job getting the students rallied around. It's hard to believe it was just 3 years ago, really, that we rebooted the homecoming celebration.
Mr. Rod, that leads me to ask a question, and maybe Noah will know the answer. Do we know which clubs won yet? I think I saw you on the DECA float. Was that right? Oh, you're on debate. Sorry. I saw you up there. Swimming and diving. Okay. Sorry, Mr. Rod.
That's quite all right. I think I was at the point where I was just kind of mentioning the fact that everywhere you look, from the baseball field where the games were, to the football field where the game was, and to the homecoming, to everything about it, it was a wonderful event. And it culminated with our community outpouring their finances and raising over $120,000 for the PHM Education Foundation. And the reason I mentioned that and want to highlight its importance is because every one of those dollars goes to help our kids at some point with some project or some initiative in their schools. So this is not a charitable type of a donation where you assume that some percentage of that is sunk in overhead expenses. 100% of donations to our PHM Education Foundation result in real life learning experiences and enhancements for our children. So it was just a goosebumps moment. I have nothing other to add to it other than to say how encouraged I am being part of the PHM community and seeing an event like Friday night and knowing the real life impact it's going to have on the educational experience of our students. Any other school board members? Hearing none, we'll move on to announcements. Tuesday, November 5th will be a recess day for the students and teachers at Penn-Harris-Madison School Corporation. There is no school due to Election Day. Next regular meeting of the Penn-Harris-Madison Board of School Trustees will convene on Monday, November the 11th at 6 p.m. at the Educational Services Center. There being no further business before the board, do I have a motion to adjourn?
I so move.
Second.
All those in favor vote aye.
Aye.
Any opposed vote nay. Motion carries by a vote of 5-0. And we're adjourned at 7:53 p.m.